At what point in your life did you start incorporating fasting into your way of life? And was it mindful? Was it out of necessity? Or was it just something random, like I forgot to eat and realized that maybe this is not something that I need to do all day, every day?
Right. I think it was really by accident, and I didn't think about it. I knew that when I train, like I get here at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got clients, bam, right up to 12 o'clock. I've done 8 hours personal training and I'm in my personal training. I'm wrestling, I'm punching, I'm kicking, I'm knife fighting. I'm doing everything. So I'm not just sitting there watching, taking selfies and moving a pin on a stack. Having anything in my gut bothered me. Anything, even a goddamn protein shake. I just didn't like it. So every time I'd feel slow and sluggish or maybe sleepy. So I just naturally kind of went in that direction. So I'll pretty much, there might be, and it's just not planned, it's not cemented in any sort of, go from 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And some nights it might be late. I'm just so there might be a 4-hour window where I might eat something, and then the rest of the day I'm not eating anything. Nothing. Like I'm drinking lemon water. So that's it. I have no hunger whatsoever. I don't desire food. Now here's the challenge. Is once you eat, then it might be over. But and if I eat healthy, by the way, too, if I'm eating the raw fruits and vegetables and stuff, which I do eat a lot of, and you have no desire for anything else. And so now I've gone 3 days without eating.
That's the max?
Yeah, and I forget why I ate, but I wasn't hungry at all, and I worked out every single day. I didn't curve my working out, which means hours of doing whatever I'm doing, plus my own personal training, plus running the gym and whatever else. I had zero down. Now, my blood sugar's got to be good, I would guess. I've had my blood work fine. There's been no issues. And I just don't have that fatigue. So people are like, when do you have downtime? I don't know. I don't know if I need it. Not yet. Maybe one day I will. But so that's generally how I came upon it. And then years later, you see these guys selling this stuff on the internet, intermittent fasting. Like, God, why didn't I think of that? I could have. I just didn't eat because I had shit I had to do. I wish I was that brilliant to have figured it out. Now they're selling all kinds of programs and books. And it's interesting, too. I do find it ironic because when I would tell people I wouldn't eat, well, you have to eat every 2 hours. You have to put this, keep your metabolism going. I go, I don't want to eat every 2 hours. It just is not in my DNA to eat every 2 hours. And then I see these guys who are, I'm going to pass out. I got to get something to eat. You don't want to know what I'm thinking. Just suck it up, and you'll be okay, probably. There might be a blood sugar issue. Some guys, I think it's just in their head, quite honestly. But I like pushing the limits on what I can do, whether it be not eating or working out, doing whatever. I had once boxed. This was a number of years ago. How old was I at the time? Maybe 50. I was. I'm a little older than 50 now. God, I hate even saying it. I boxed 40 straight rounds, 42-minute rounds with, maybe it was before, anyway, 42-minute rounds with a 30-second break between rounds. I didn't have one sip of water. It was against 9 opponents, right? All decent boxers, not world caliber guys. And my goal was 50, and the reason I didn't get to 50 is because they quit. They were tired. I was able to get, in my mind, that ability just to go. I wasn't fatigued. I was dancing in those rounds. And I remember, like, come on, guys, let's go. No, we've had enough. God, you're killing me. I'm only going to be this age once. And it was a goal in my head. I was like, can you do it? And you can. And a lot of it's just here. I was talking to someone just earlier today about something in relation, like, how do you know, how, that you can and you can't do that? And we've talked about Goggins, who's been a real influence on me in the last year or so since I discovered him. Hopefully I'll get to speak with him later this year. Was, we give up too easy. We don't try hard enough on a lot of things. It's uncomfortable. And he talks about, you got to suffer at some level to do that. There's a great, and I do a lot, like, and whether it's diet or whatever I'm doing, we haven't delved into it. There's a lot of stuff you do for years and years without anything coming to fruition. And you ask yourself why you're doing that. And there's an ultimate goal. Hopefully you have that dream and that thing to go ahead and do it. And whatever it is, as crazy as it is. Like, why don't you do it? I don't know. I don't want to be that victim of myself. There's an old quote I told friends, is when you're in your own head, you're behind enemy lines. And I don't want to be behind enemy lines anymore. So I do everything outside to try to prevent that, to go on that next level, whether it be dieting or working out or trying something new. I'm not,
You came in to, how old were you around when you started? You were in your 20s? Or
As a
bouncer at
in my
City
20s,
Gardens, in
early
your
20s, yeah.
So you already came in with that knowledge of the martial arts.
Right.
Like you explained, that real world experience
Yeah.
just took it to a whole new level.
Whole new level. Right
And
away,
then-
day one.
And then you were able to teach that to
Right.
whoever you were.
Right, because I instead of in theory and talking about it and watching a video, I lived it. I knew what it was like to have 5 guys throwing down on me at one time. Chairs, guns, tasers, pepper spray, all that coming at me, at different times. I'm just putting it one, and how to handle that, how not to get on the ground, how to survive, what techniques, very simple techniques, how to be preemptive, because it's going on. When you're fighting multiple opponents, or in that scenario, you can't focus on one guy at one time. It is a 360. So I got to worry about this guy, and I have to act. I got to punch on all angles, standing, kneeling, and on the ground. I get up. I got to be able to have an orderly retreat, as I say, get out of there, come back, get reinforcements, or stay in and do the battle. You also have to be aware of where other people were. Your buddy, their co-bouncers, he getting a snot beat out of him across the room. I've had that happen. One of the guys got bonked in the head with a beer bottle. Getting over to him and rescuing him, and could that be done? Could I, take this guy out? I had one scrap with this guy, real big guy who 300 plus pounds, 330, 6'4".
Wow.
He came at me. I just threw a guy to the crowd. I turned around, this guy, I may have shared the story with, and he's running at me like this. He was a football player for a local college team, and just trying to kill me. And as he came at me, I just, I wasn't going to do my high block. I just did a little boxing. He goes flying over me, lands over a table. Thank God, because he was so massive. Even if had I been able to block it or absorb it, he was 300 plus pounds. That matters. And in a bar fight, it certainly does. Could have ended up on the ground underneath of him, and then maybe his friend could have played soccer with my head. So I was fortunate. I turned around, whoo, here he comes. Let me get out of the way of this bad boy. And I didn't think about it too. It was just a reaction. And wrapping the background of the martial arts, when you'll learn how to do all this stuff, it has to move from the conscious thought process down to subconscious. It just has to happen. Bruce Lee talked about, I didn't hit, it hit. That is so important. And there's a process by which we try to do that. Some people, by the way, that will never happen for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the skill set or the ability to do that. Others, absolutely. So I was fortunate in that moment in time that I was able to do a bob and weave. That's why when someone comes in, we said, they box it, learn to get the hell out of the way of the shop. At that point, it saved me from really getting messed up. He would have fucked me up unless I happened to see it. If you don't see that shot, you're in trouble. But.
So to close things out, I was wondering
Yeah.
if it's even practical or possible to show the audience a technique that they can use with some practice, or whether it's a strike or a hold or a...
Right. Really like a day one self-defense kind of thing that you'd want to do, essentially. There's whatever it is, if you're doing for self-defense, it has to be simple. The simplest solution, a friend of mine introduced me to this, it's called Occam's razor. I believe I talked to you about that, right? Mm-hmm. Essentially, so I'll give you an example. I'm doing a seminar, I go, and I just punch the guy in the nose. That's it. The next person goes through 10 moves and punches him in the nose. We have the exact same solution to the problem, but they're taking the long way. So the simple solution is often the best. So a simple jaw strike, palm up under the jaw. It could be a throat strike. Simple shots like that. Anything more complicated than that is not that likely to happen unless you're practicing it on a daily basis. That, in a nutshell, might save someone's life. Now, if you want to go a little deeper, you can't guarantee it. But at 2-hour self-defense clinic, look, the only thing that'll probably save is that self-awareness, that situational awareness. The mastery of any technique in 2 hours is non-existent. I've seen guys teach really complicated thought processes and techniques. I'm going, good luck. You just stole their money. So when it comes to that simple palm strike to the jaw, could be the money shot. That might be the one that works. I'd like to have a little bit more time than 5 minutes with them, and because there's a whole bunch of elements that come in the process. So that go-to technique. It's not like professional wrestling. Like I'm Jimmy Snuka going off the top rope. I wish it was. I've had guys when I was so Jim, if I was to go to, what would be your go-to move? I said, I don't know, but it probably wouldn't be good for you. Because I don't know what it would be. I don't have a clue on any planet. I can't confine myself to that. So that's a real tough question to answer, other than the simplest, maybe not, As I was talking to Chris Kent, who's an original first generation JKT guy, not long ago, and he, in a Santo or Bruce would say, well, maybe, could be, possibly. And no one wanted to hear those answers. They wanted that definitive answer. That's why we confine ourselves with the dogma, whatever, what's our diet, our religion, or our workout ethic, where this is how it's done. Well, maybe. I don't know that answer. Just punch him. There you go.
Well, I really appreciate your time
thanks
today.
for having me, man. Hope I didn't talk too much, brother.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
I have trained with Jim McCann here. One of the I think misunderstandings that most people have about the martial arts and just learning any type of fighting style is that maybe it's not too practical in today's world with the guns and weapons and everything going on. From my perspective and from my personal experience, I could say that aside from all that stuff, 40 hours with this man provided me with a confidence, a way of walking, knowing that I could go from place to place, from environment to environment, and feel that I can defend myself in any worst case situation. And to have that confidence is really uplifting, and it translates to life in general. So I really appreciate
Thanks, man.
You teaching me, and thank you everybody for joining us today for this episode of Motor Meals. Till next time.